the For the Badge podcast. Thanks everybody for listening. It's been a nice couple of games this week, and we've had Palace versus Manchester United. I enjoyed that result myself. And then the game today was a bit more infuriating, but we'll definitely get to that. First of all, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, get that notification bell on. We got plenty more episodes coming up for you. And I do want to start in a place we have failed to mention over the past couple of episodes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Predictions League standings. Yeah, here we go.
Let's see it.
Got a little graphic for you.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, Patrick is crushing it. Crushing it. I don't know what happened. I thought I was doing good. But lots of stuff, lots of games to predict.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still hoping to win that 50,000 off of NBC. That's gonna be good. One day we got our fingers crossed. But all right, we'll go ahead and take a look at the Crystal Palace Man U game. It's as good a place to start as any. Did you guys get to watch that one?
Did not, but I did see the
Yes.
absolute banger that Elise hit. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, hey man, I saw the end as well, and I mean, I just I saw the or I was following the feed where it said Casemiro, the greatest holding midfielder in the world, got a card, so he's gonna miss the Arsenal game if I'm not mistaken. Which just I mean that means Arsenal's gonna win by 1,000 now because the greatest holding midfielder will not be in the game, and so that also led to them getting scored on. I mean, it's their title push that it was stolen from them by the referees by bad decisions, and that's not fair. That should ever happen to Manchester United. Never ever.
Never,
No.
never. It's just so unfair to United. They always are on the wrong end of the stick. You know, they never ever get a call in their favor.
It just I mean, there was too much extra time added, and that was part of the reason that happened. They miscalculated the extra time that was necessary, and that's why that happened. Otherwise, that never happens because how do you allow Manchester United to draw to Crystal Palace? It's Crystal Palace.
I mean, yeah, Chelsea beat Crystal Palace. Like what? What?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
come on.
saying something. I figured it out. I figured out where the hype comes from, right? And Wednesday's game was a perfect example of it for me. Um, Bruno Fernandez was awful. It was terrible. And Casemiro with the ball was incredibly sloppy. Was horribly sloppy on the ball, but he was their best defender. And so Man U fans are like, "Oh my God, he's so good, he's so good." But when you look closer, he defends well, decent enough. As far as he's able to stop up play, he's able to, make the tackles to get the yellow card to get knocked out of the Arsenal game. He's able to, I think better than Ericsson does in midfield, better than Fernandez does for sure. As far as defense goes. But when he has the ball, especially yesterday, it was bad. It was really bad. Or Wednesday, it wasn't good, and you could see that like Palace weren't good either. And so against a better team, a more ruthless team, like who United are playing on Sunday, it could be ugly. If they bring that sloppiness, it'll be ugly.
It's at the Emirates, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that
Yeah.
matters because even though Jake, I hate to disagree with you, but the internet says that Bruno Fernandez was the man of the match, and he had a rating of 8.7. So you were clearly looking at the wrong game, and you are biased, and you have been bought by the people who set up Crystal Palace to get a point to steal points away from Man United and them being eventual champions. I think you need to, sir, recognize your bias and recognize that Bruno Fernandes is better than Kevin De Bruyne. He's better than any attacking midfielder in the world. I need you to focus, sir. Focus.
I mean, if you think about it, the spine, the spine's got the best CDM in the world, but it's best attacking mid in the world. Marcus Rashford, he might as well be the best striker in the world at this point. I mean, it is United. We're all lucky. We're all lucky to just be able to be on the same pitch as them.
I mean, they haven't lost a game in how many? They're the best team to not lose games at all in all of 2023. No one not loses games better than them.
I love it. But if you even look at this goal, Palace were defending well, and then they switch off for 1 second, and Eriksson plays the ball through, and I mean, my grandmother would have scored. Bruno gets the pass with, all day from the penalty spot. He took 2 touches and then shot. Like, there was so much
there with the same poise as Bruno Fernandes. I don't know if Mima is going to have the wherewithal to understand, just in case if she misses it, she would fall down like she got shot in the leg and be prepared so she can get a penalty, because she couldn't score as many penalty goals as Bruno does either. So we need to understand that grandma, wonderful woman as she is, I don't know if she can do what Bruno does, man. 8.7, sir, 8.7.
It was just a sloppy game, and it goes to show you that the stats makers and the people that pull out, he's got this expected goals per game, and he ran 197 yards, and his left shoelace went this far, and his right boot is the most magnificent right boot on the pitch today. He had a 9.4 for his right foot. Like, watch the game. Palace were terrible going forward. They had one awesome shot in the first half, it's the only thing to speak of, and De Gea makes a fantastic save, must be said. And then in the second half, they were marginally better, and needed a magnificent free kick to rescue what was a dreadful performance, really, at home.
Well, I will say this in all seriousness. I'm actually happy that Palace got a point for 2 reasons. One, because Patrick Vieira needs something, man, because I don't know what's going on there. And they're solidly mid-table, even though, mid-table is almost the relegation at this point. But also, it calms down a lot of that Man U title charge thing they had going on. And I mean, I'm not knocking them. They've had a good run, but it shows what their mentality is when they show up and how deep they are, because just the number of matches that are coming right now really is going to matter. I think if Arsenal for sure can get through this period of just the fixture clog up, we've said it before. I think they'll do well. I mean, we'll talk about the City match, because City literally just was like, "Hey, man, we have 2 teams, and they're both good, and they both would finish top 4. Like, both of them would finish top 4." So I'm gonna give Crystal Palace credit because I know they're not deep as United. And then you have to look at United and say, okay, are they ready? Were they looking forward to Arsenal? Were they looking a little bit ahead? And and they weren't taking Palace as seriously, but just because Palace is inconsistent. So I think it was a good result for Palace for sure. And it actually wasn't a terrible result for United, because I mean, if you're a true United fan, you look at it and you say, okay, well, you're supposed to draw at least draw on the road. So if they go to Arsenal and Arsenal drop points, or they beat them, after a Palace draw, they actually came out of the games really well. I mean, big picture wise, because then Arsenal would be 3 points clear of the top, I think, if it was a draw. Is that right? I don't know if my math is mathing. But I think that's right. They would be 3 points clear if they
If we draw now,
yeah.
we'll be 8 points clear of United
Well,
with a game in hand. We're 8 points clear, both y'all. And United are tied
what
with y'all.
5 points clear right now, so you'd be 6 points clear.
Right, because y'all won today. Right.
But with a draw to be 6 points. But yeah, but then I mean, again, that's still a win for I mean, if I'm being honest for United, because I mean I mean, did they expect to be where they are? They'd be on 40 points, and Arsenal would be on 48. And so you look at that with 19 games, you still have what a
19 more.
Game in hand on them, though.
yeah. But I mean, you got to think they is this the second time that United has played Arsenal? Or is this the first one? I can't remember.
The only time
Second.
United are the only team that's beat Arsenal in the league this season.
So yeah, so then and if this was a Liverpool joke, it'd be funnier because they beat somebody cup. But if United happens to beat Arsenal, they'll have the we beat the Arsenal trophy that they'll hold for the whole season. No matter what the result of Arsenal. So I think I think they should they have won maybe, but I think Crystal Palace showed up because they knew they needed a point at least. And it's not a terrible result for United because I remember Tim Howard once saying this. He said, "You win at home and you draw on the road." And I mean, they were on the road and they drew. So not terrible result, especially since they played bad.
Well, I was going to say, I think, and I know X has said this before, but these are the types of matches that separate the contenders from the pretenders. These are the type of matches where if you're a true contender and you've got the depth and you've got the quality, you go and you win this 2-0, 2-1 even, but you go and you win this. And, even though Palace was bad, they still got a point off of you. That's what separates you from the Arsenal, from the City right now. And I think that also shows while Ten Hag has made a lot of improvement, there's still a lot more to be made before they can be a consistent product. But again, we also said this in the last pod. I know I did, and I think everybody else kind of agreed. They were just on a run. They weren't consistent. They were just on a run, and that run more than likely just came to an end, and it's going to start. They're going to start to kind of fall back a little bit, and the true contenders, City, Arsenal, Newcastle. Well, let me rephrase that: Arsenal, City, and Newcastle. They're going to again start to separate from the Uniteds, the Tottenhams, everybody. So. I just I was not surprised to see that United didn't pull this off. Even though I thought they would, I wasn't that surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. They do have an easy run coming up after the Arsenal game.
Yeah, I have a question. So, do you think this kind of maybe also benefits them a little, United a little bit, just because it'll be a run of games really quickly, whereas Arsenal will have a longer break. I mean, Arsenal's in form, so I mean, it's not like a bad thing. And I mean, they won, a derby, even though I mean, it's Tottenham a derby. It's already. I'm joking. I'm not gonna disrespect them like that. But
It wasn't last Sunday.
No, it wasn't even a contest.
I mean, because Arsenal played Sunday. But United played Saturday, they played Wednesday, and then they're going to play Sunday again. And I mean, I think something could possibly be said about maybe they find a little bit of a run and some magic in there. I mean, I personally don't think they'll beat Arsenal, but I think maybe you think it lends itself to sort of adrenaline filled legs for United.
They won't have the best CDM in the world, so I mean.
Well, it'll be a similar approach to the City game, but we'll definitely get to that. But speaking of fixture congestion, they play us on Sunday. Then they have the semifinals of the No One Cares Cup on the 25th. Then they have the FA Cup on the 28th. Then they have the Carabao again on the 1st. Palace on the 4th. Then they get a week. But then it's Leeds, Barca in 4 days, Leicester in 3 days, and then Barca again in 4 days. So they've got some, and that's all those extra games, right? So they have extra games because they made it through to the semifinals, and extra games because they couldn't finish first in a Europa League group. So so they have a ton of extra games coming up. But yeah, I think that they were flying on adrenaline versus City, flying on the we're at home in the Derby versus City, and I think that first of all, speaking of depth, Palace's subs definitely changed it. I think that Eze, the number 10 for Palace, is like super underrated. Yeah, I think he's really good. I enjoy watching him. He loves to get forward. I think he changed it this game and gave Palace a bit more impetus going forward, especially when they upped the quality a little bit. And I definitely think they deserve this draw. But I think you also nailed it, Lewis. I've heard others speak on how when Casemiro gets that yellow and they give the goal, United never looked like recovering. It was kind of we already had our heads in the next match, and then Casemiro goes down, and they're like, "Oh crap, he's not going to be playing versus Arsenal," and and they never were able to get it back. I mean, it was only 3-4 minutes left, but they look shocked for sure.
Well, I mean, it says something. For example, like it just takes one moment to take you out. When uh, say an offsides call that doesn't get called happens and a goal scores from it, that can take and affect the whole team for the rest of the game. And so I think a call
Or the
can,
next minute after they score, I mean,
yeah, they can get too
yeah,
quick. Yeah, that's
no.
possible.
Well, that's a nice little segue to today's game, and I'm just going to go ahead and be the first to say that I'm an idiot. I can't believe I let myself get my hopes up and cheer for Spurs and like think that Spurs could actually do something, even with a 2-0 lead at halftime. I knew that it'd be tough, and I definitely thought that it would be like maybe it'd be 2-1 in the 80th, and we'd get a 2-2. No, and
Well,
now I'm mad at myself.
well, the funny thing, Jake, is I actually take this mentality. I try my best to not let, even though I'm last in the standings, I try not to let my feelings get in the way when I root for teams that if they win, it doesn't benefit me, because sometimes emotions just suck the logic out of you. And I mean, if you are a bad fan, or you don't know anything, then the people in the Etihad are the same as you, because they were booing the team, and so you're not wrong for that. And uh, I think the funny thing is, while I don't know if this will charge City up, 'cause you've seen other City games, you're like, that'll wake them up, and then they lay a dud. So I don't really know what to expect from this team. Um, so I'm glad. Now I'm gonna be honest. As a City fan, I never think they're out. Doesn't matter the score. Since the Aguero goal, I've not once ever, not once, because I remember. I'm telling you, I remember watching that game. I mean, I'm young. I don't really. I mean, I know some soccer, but I don't know it. And I just remember seeing it, and I just couldn't believe it. And I ran around my house screaming, and my mom thought I was an idiot for that. And she's like, "Why are you running in the house? Look, man, look, you don't understand that." So from that moment, they had been doing that. They've been doing that since that 2012 moment, where they've come back multiple times. And Spurs are Spursy. So
That's so Spursy. I'm telling you.
so
No, I watched most of this. There was a bit where I was a little busy, but even Spurs goals kind of felt a little fluky. The first one, Ederson makes a terrible pass that gets picked off, and it's just put it in the corner. Second one, he parries it right back to Edison Royal. I mean, it was a sitter. You know, it really just seemed very fluky. So, and honestly, I thought with the way Pep responded to, or reacted to that second goal, I'm like, he's probably going to peel some paint in the in the locker room, and I fully expect City to come out and really just again put on a performance. And I think that's the one thing that I think we expect from City every time is for them to come out and do a 4-0 half. You know, I mean, you look at the quality of that team, you look at every spot, and you're just like, why do they do this every game? Because they should. You know, you got Mahrez getting a brace today. Looked great in the process. Holland seems to be pressing a little bit. I've
those other two as well. Mahrez.
Huh?
Mahrez had the other 2 assists and 2 goals.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, he was amazing today. And but I do feel like Holland's pressing a little bit. He seemed to like that breakaway he had. That should be an easy goal for him.
Should have been.
And he just didn't finish it. And it feels like he's pressing a little bit. And I can understand that because he was on a slide and, you know, he got one today. So, you know, we may start seeing City. And of course, you know, we're about to go on another international break. So, you know, we may see another, you know, side of City coming out. But again, I watch City and I watch Arsenal. And I do see a difference in the quality right now, the consistency. You know, I'm not saying that City's out of it by any means, but if Arsenal keeps up the quality and the consistency, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because where City can beat a lot of teams, specifically in the midfield, I think Arsenal can handle their own. That duo of Partey and Xhaka are they're destroying, man. It's sort of like what Fernandinho and who else did y'all have there, Lewis?
Silva, De Bruyne.
Yeah. I think it was
David Silva and Fernandinho.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Wonderful together.
Yeah, I mean they just destroyed. I mean Fernandinho just you know, I remember one time against Chelsea, he was like the only deep lying midfielder, and it was almost like he was playing as a 5th center back. But he was pulling his own Conte. He was picking off everything. And you know, you watch Arsenal with Xhaka and Partey, and you're like, that ball's not getting across to the other side of the field between them. You're gonna have to go down the flanks, and even then, you know, it's still a challenge. So I know we keep talking about building up to it because I know we are, but I start to see a little bit of a gap forming, not just only on the table, but in quality between the two teams now as I watch more and more and start to see them actually performing against those higher level teams, you know, or considered higher level teams. Arsenal made, I mean, they just this it was almost like a training exercise against against Spurs. City had to come to play today, you know. So, but I came away really impressed with City still, and it was exciting to actually see. It's sort of like the Bond stars, you know. You just want to see them come out and just dominate, and you see them come out and put a 4 spot on. You're like, okay, that's the City I'm expecting every time they go out on the, you know, every match day.
I think there are 2 great points that were made just now, and the first one was Holland, and Jake and you and I kind of talked about it a little bit. I think he feels pressure now, and the funny thing is when he was at Dortmund, he didn't have that pressure to win things, and now he has pressure. So everything was easy because it was just like numbers. They're just empty numbers. Not that they're empty, but they were empty numbers. And then now that they're like, all right, you got some semifinals, you got some other phases in here, and then you look. Oh, hold on a second. Am I talking still?
Yeah, you're still talking.
Okay. Yeah. So it makes the idea of his goals matter more. So that's sort of that inexperience. And Jake and I were talking about specifically where like a lot of these city guys, they've done this before, so it's kind of a mundane thing, so they can just turn it on whenever. For example, like Alvarez and Holland and a lot of these young guys, they hadn't done it, so there's an energy there that they're like, hey, we need to do this. We don't know what this feels like. But then when you go to Mahrez has done this, so Mahrez just kind of switched on. And if I watched the post-match interview that they did with he and Grealish, and you could see there was a different sense of confidence from them too. Like, for example, Mahrez was super confident. He's like, we were down, and he basically said they said, what did Pep say? And basically he said, Pep said, they're not better than us. Go beat them. That's basically what he said. And then they went out and they just did that. And
you hear him ask Grealish about the slide tackle, and he's like, it sucks when you're a winger, and the best thing about your game was a slide tackle.
Right. And so those guys, they're so used to winning that they don't really turn up for those games. I think they will turn up for Arsenal. Now, I just think it's who turns up, right? Because I think the United game will be in their head where they're like, we should have slapped them. And that was going to be difficult to predict. But I think if they wake up, they're going to be there, because there's some shakeup going on at City, because the winning becomes mundane, which it's hard to imagine that, but it's true. And so, like, why? And I get Arsenal getting up for Spurs, but what's the reason City gets up for Spurs? Like, why would I get up for Spurs? Like, yeah, but they literally turned on 4 when they wanted to. And looking back at the first half, they could have scored 3. Holland missed a header he shouldn't have missed in the first half.
Yeah, that should be
weird.
A
it was
goal
weird.
99 times out of 100.
Like, so you think about it, it would have been either 2-2 or City would have been up in the first half if they just finished. And then, Mahrez kind of just took the game by the scruff of the neck and was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And they didn't have anybody to deal with them, so he just did what he wanted. And it was funny because I love the no substitutions, and I love that they played young guys, because that gives them that steal. This is where Arsenal is doing something really good, is their young guys are getting a ton of experience, and they've stepped up for all the tough ones. But I will say, I don't think they will be, but I think there'll be a bit of nerves on the Arsenal side coming to that game, only because they're like, this is the one they've been waiting for. Whereas City is like, yeah, every game is big for us, so we're not necessarily waiting for you for this one. So I think it's different because Arsenal have to win. Like, there's no pressure on City to win that game. Arsenal have to win the game.
Well, it's a mentality. We've talked about mentality and as I like to call them, killers. Do you have that killer mindset? And that's one thing that I've been questioning about the City team, because it's like, just winning. You're right. It can get boring, as crazy as that sounds. And you walk out on the field and you're like, okay, we're supposed to win today. Okay, roll over for us. And then teams are like, no, we're gonna give you a challenge. And sometimes you get that challenge and you don't wake up from it, because you're like, wait a second, they're not supposed to be doing this, and you didn't prepare for it mentally. You talk about shutting off and whatnot. You can go into a game completely shut off and just think, all right,
Spurs do it every week.
It's Southampton, It's Southampton, they're
It's Crystal Palace.
We should beat them 5-0 today, and then you get down a goal in like the 60th minute, and you're like, wait a second, what just happened?
Can't do that in this league.
You can't. No, you can't. And I felt like that Pep had instilled that in this team, and honestly, I think it's there. I just think that they're more focused on Champions League, and I don't say that as a slight towards Arsenal potentially winning the league, but I really do feel like City is really focused on that Champions League trophy. Like, that's the last thing for them in their mind. I think we will see that mentality where they come out and it's like, okay, this is the City we expected for the last 6 months, and now here it is. But I also think that one thing about Arteta is he's learned that from Pep, and he's trained that into this young group of players now who, for Arsenal, who are learning how to win and continuing how to win, and that's a dangerous combination.
And did you guys see the quote from Jose? And Jose is probably my favorite manager in the world. I won't even lie. I think he's my favorite. He had a quote, and it said, I think he was the Spurs manager at the time, and he said, because I think I sent you a show where they were in the table, Arsenal was in the table, and he said, they won the game, and he said, but I like what he's doing at Arsenal, and you just wait, he's turning them back into Arsenal. Like Mourinho, you don't have to like his takes, but the guy ain't dumb. He can see it.
No, I got a lot of respect for Mourinho. I'm not Mourinho's biggest fan, never have been. But yeah, I definitely got a lot of respect for the man. As far as this game goes, I think a couple things. City were really sloppy in the first half, but Alvarez was not. Alvarez was good the whole game. I know you really like him, Lewis, and I understand why. He was definitely their best in the first half for me. And a couple of things as far as on the whole, this game proves that everything that I've been saying about how, okay, yes, Arsenal are 8 points clear, six, whatever it is, 5 points clear now. But you said it, Lewis. We have to win every game. There's no letting up. You know, we can't say, oh, it's Southampton. We can't do that because City showed today, like they've shown in the past, they're capable of ridiculous, just spurts of ridiculousness, whether that's 13 minutes versus a crappy Spurs side, or whether that's, the next 13 games where they don't give a goal. They've done that for, how many times? How long did y'all chase Liverpool and finally overtake them?
That was amazing. That
Oh,
really was amazing.
So we can't.
You can't even draw to anybody.
We can't stop. We can't let up. Not even one bit. Because, and here's the kicker. Yes, Pep is focused on Champions League. I mean, that's obvious. And because of that, we've noticed that he's been tinkering these last few games. Patrick, you used that word last time. He's been tinkering, and it hasn't been working out. Today, his tinkering just fine. Worked out just fine. I remember putting in the chat at the very beginning of the game how shocking it was that Kevin De Bruyne was not in this game, and how I was thinking to myself, "Well, who's gonna run this game?" But that the hybrid role that Alvarez was playing, they had no issue. If they'd have been just a little bit more, less sloppy, I guess, a little bit more clinical in possession, it could have been 5-0, 5-2, 6-2. In the first half, they could have had 4 goals.
Yeah.
So this tinkering, I think that today they weren't hindered by the tactics at all, and they were still able to try to hit Holland as well. And so that's my point is like underestimate City at your peril because
Yeah.
that's just a dumb thing to do.
Well, I
Yeah.
love the fact that they played Holland and Alvarez. I mean, every City fan has been waiting for them to play together. Now it's funny because they played Alvarez through the middle, and so everyone's like, "Oh, Foden will be there." Well, if Mahrez is in form, your front three is Alvarez, Holland, and Mahrez, and they're scary going forward because the work rate Alvarez has is insane. Even though the funny thing I saw at the end of the game, this is the weirdest thing. Somebody asked Alvarez for his shorts, and he gave them to him.
I saw that, yeah.
Shorts off. I'm like, dude, you really don't. He's so oblivious. Just on the field in the cold in your underwear. Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I wonder if Pep is also tinkering so that when it comes to Champions League, they don't know what they're getting. He throws out a lineup, and it's like, wait a second, how do we defend this? How do
Don't
we?
assume he's gonna play classic Pep for Champions League.
I don't think so.
Anybody who's watched City knows he always tinkers in the big game, which is confusing to every
Is
City.
Leipzig necessarily a big game? Yes, he's gonna take it seriously because it's knockout Champions League, but I mean,
Do you think he'll tinker in that then? Try things out in that?
Well, it's 2 legs, so yeah, I think so.
I mean, it almost reminds me a little bit of that German team that ended up winning the World Cup. Their Yogi Low just, I mean, for the first 3 games of that World Cup, you're like, what? Huh? What are you doing? And then they came in the knockouts and they just destroyed, So, but no, I'm not discrediting City by any means. I think it's more of a compliment to Arsenal, just seeing what kind of quality this Arsenal team is showing consistently, and I'm interested to see how they play against United. I actually think that Arsenal's going to smash them. I thought even before Casemiro was going to be out that Arsenal was just going to overrun them in the midfield. They're going to do that even more now. And I also pointed out after watching Arsenal against Spurs, Spurs left a lot of space for people to work, and you even saw it even in the first half. I mean, City could do whatever they wanted to, within the final third. They just didn't finish, and then second half they started finishing, and you see what happens over 45 minutes of time. So
they turned it around in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
63rd minute, it was 3-2.
It's crazy.
It's funny because I think I actually love watching the Arsenal team play because there's a spirit there where it's
Me too.
You appreciate that. And again, I'm not a homer because I like the game, but then you look at it and you're just I think it's just more enjoyable to dislike City and to just kind of bet on them because when they do what they're supposed to do, you're like, they were supposed to do that. So I think people, because I've listened to commentary on games in Spanish and English on different types of networks, and a lot of times the people are kind of negative, or they're super critical of any error City makes and says, is that the end of the team? Because they need to be the villain. And I think it's funny because I think if they ever embrace that, they would be like the funnest team to root for then, because then they're the bad guys. And I would love that so much more. Like I would love them being the bad guys.
Well, I'll
purely
give
in the hate us because they ain't us zone.
Yeah.
Dude, you win 4 out of 5 trophies, everyone is going to hate you.
Yeah, I'll give you an example for anybody that's a college football fan. It's sort of like Alabama. When Alabama with Nick Saban, they had their first run. It's like, oh, that's great, Alabama's. And then Alabama kept winning, and they became the villain. And it's like, God, I hate Alabama. And I think that's the way it is with City. But I will say this: I did not like City 3-4 years ago because I saw it as, this is a team that is, and this sounds hypocritical, so apologies. This is a team that's finding its way into being legitimate. And especially when Pep's buying all these defenders, he spent like 300 million on defenders. We won't talk about my man Todd. But I have more respect. And again, this is a City team that is loaded with talent. There's no question about that. But they're also finding talent. Yes, they are buying talent. Don't get me wrong. But like that Rico Lewis kid, I love watching him. Absolutely love watching him. The dude goes 100 at all times.
He's a baller.
Alvarez, obviously they bought him. Did Foden come through the City
Academy?
Mm-hmm. So I mean that's kind of my point. Like there's some guys that are coming through the academy, and I think that's also what makes this Arsenal team look fun. These are the guys that are going through the academy. I know that Vex was here. He would talk about Mount and Reese and I feel like I'm missing one. Well, technically, Pulisic went through the academy too, just not lifelong. Um, you want to pull for that, and it feels more pure, I guess you would say. I guess that's why everybody is a Liverpool fan if they're not a Spurs fan.
Well, I mean, that's a great segue into next weekend into some Saturday morning's game because everybody that Chelsea's buying right now is young, and they
Mhm.
signing them to 7.5 year deal, 8.5 year deal. How old is the dude that you bought today from PSV? Number 20,
I
number
think
the
he's
17
21.
guy in the So it's all new.
It's actually and I know you were bagging on me a little bit when I said this, but that article from the Athletic is actually fascinating because what it's talking about is that Chelsea realizes that they can't continue at the Roman Abramovich salary wages. So yes, they did give Sterling a big contract. Yes, they just paid Reese a lot of money. They had to, but uh, Murdoch is 97,000 a week, which still is a whole lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but it's not 150. It's
It's
not
not
200. Huh?
It's not Koulibaly's 280 or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. Benoit is less than 100,000,
Yeah.
and it was talking about how the wage bill is going to come down at Chelsea because they're really truly wanting to buy for the future.
It's gonna be a
They're
fire sale in the summer.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
total clear out. I mean,
Yeah.
I was reading one of I think it was maybe Matt Law. No, it wasn't Matt Law. It was another one of the Chelsea journalists I follow, and they're like, the move today proves that there is going to be 100% clear out, total clear out. I think the only guys that are safe are going to be Mount, Reese, Chilwell, maybe Havertz, but I have a feeling he's probably going to be sold.
Aubameyang's back in Barcelona.
Who? Aubameyang? Yeah,
Gonna be
yeah. Peace,
Barcelona.
bro. Peace, bro. Uh, seriously, I'd
Who
rather
plays?
see what Fafana can do. He'll at least give some effort.
Who plays?
Oh, you
Huh?
left the name out though, Patrick. You left the name out. Potter out. You just got. I mean, in honor of X not being here, I had to say it for him. So
Lukaku's coming back too for next season.
that's true.
We're working on a loan for him. I already saw that they're trying to get another loan for him because
To the
he has
Sunday
no
league?
interest whatsoever coming back.
They're trying to loan him out to the Serie D, the
Probably,
fourth tier
probably.
Italian league or whatever.
But seriously, talk about Potter out. Miss Jax. Just so that I can sit here and argue with him. But no, these signings really show that this whole group is 100% behind Potter. I mean, you can't tell me otherwise. Because these are young signings. These aren't oh, let's go try to get somebody to make a run here. These are like, all right, we know this season's not gonna produce much. We'll see what we can do, but we're building towards the future. And you don't do that if you're gonna get rid of this guy.
But
You
you
just
still have
don't.
games. You still have half a season.
I know. I don't think we're gonna finish well. I think we finish seventh, maybe sixth. If we get on a run, maybe we challenge for fifth. But I mean, I think this weekend is really really big, not only for the psyche of the team because they of course had a little bit of success last week, but also it's Liverpool, it's Anfield.
Anfield.
You know, Murdoch's probably going to play. Uh, I can't say his name. Maduki. I don't know how to say his name.
Weke? Is it a way? Is it a Madueke?
Madueke. Yeah, I think it's Madueke.
I'm not sure either.
I think it's Madueke because I was actually listening to a Twitter space and they were sitting there talking about how to say his name and one guy was like, yeah, it's Madueke or something. And I'm like, I don't know how you get that, but okay. But they're trying to get him registered so he can play this weekend. I mean, the team needs it. And I said this in our chat, but you got Chilwell, who's already training again with the team. You got Reese is well, not Reese isn't training right now. RLC is training with the team. So I mean, some of these actual key pieces are getting close to coming back. And again, I don't have illusions of grandeur that Chelsea's going to go on like a 20 out of 24 point run. But I do think that we'll see a little bit more stability, and it needs to start this weekend. You need to continue on with the positive movement, because you're going into the international break, right? Going into the international break, you come out of the international break, it's Champions League time. You gotta have some positive movement.
I looked at the last couple of games that Liverpool and Chelsea played, and the last 4 games all ended as draws, with the last being cup games that Liverpool won on penalties. So like literally they've been equal in the last 4 games. The one before that Chelsea won and Liverpool won before. So they're basically, which is kind of funny, because just like I don't know what's going to come from Chelsea, I have no idea what's coming from Liverpool. Like zero idea. You don't know what Liverpool you're going to get. Are you going to get Mo Salah, that is the Ballon d'Or candidate? Or are you going to get Mo Salah that's just who's rich now because he got his money, And it's just interesting because I've always admired Chelsea's academy. So I admire them playing the young players. But it kind of feels weird because it makes the Potter hiring a bit weird, because now you're just going to give him a bunch of young guys like he just was where he was. So you're like, but this is Chelsea. And at this point, you kind of want to win, and I don't know if they expect to win with these guys next year, because if they think the guys they're getting in this year, which I respect, that are going to challenge for the league, with young guys, I would counter with, well, do you see what Arsenal's doing? Do you see what Newcastle's doing? Like their young core is there, and so I mean, maybe X is right that Potter should be out.
I don't know, man. Newcastle, Eddie Howe's 18 months deep. Newcastle are in. Arsenal's 3 years deep in this, young building team, rebuild. Chelsea are bringing in this guy from over here, and they get this guy from over here, and some random from over here, and they're not yet a team. There's no unity yet, because they just haven't been together. Legitimately have not ever, been together. So they haven't had any time to mesh. But you're 100% right. Liverpool and Chelsea are legitimately tied. They're both on 28 points. Their goal difference is similar, you know, and it's a mid-off down at mid-table. Liverpool have
We'll
been
take it.
so bad.
We'll take it. And by the way, I just want to point out that Liverpool would have not won one of those games if it was not for VAR bailing them out twice.
How dare you blame VAR or the FA for a traditional powerhouse winning a game? How dare you, sir? You respect the establishment of the English royalty in football.
I think that was actually a Carabao Cup too, if I remember right.
Probably. I mean, it was both of them. They were shootouts, so probably so.
Yeah.
Well, the second one wasn't as controversial, but like Chelsea had 2 goals that were wiped away.
Yeah.
And Liverpool did nothing. I think they got 1 goal that was wiped away because of a handball. But like I was listening to Talk Sport because I was coming back from the mountains, and I was listening to Talk Sport, and even them, they were like, I don't know how you would call that offsides. Like it was just like he's even with the player, like what's going on here, kind of thing. So but that said, What Chelsea do you get? What Liverpool do you get? Who knows? I mean, I almost, as crazy as this sounds, it feels like Liverpool is in more shambles than Chelsea is right now.
Yeah, and no one's talking about it because the wind is blowing too hard, and that's why the grass is cut too long, and that's enough. That's not the actual players on why Liverpool don't win. It's because the grass and the water is too wet, and it's too England. So if they played in another country, then they would play better.
I just think Todd Bowley is grabbing all the headlines. That's why, there's less of it's less glaring that Liverpool are so bad. They needed Harvey Elliott to pop up in the FA Cup replay. The replay. They needed.
Oh, by the way, can we talk about that? Can we talk about that?
Sure.
Sketchy
Very.
with the lights going out on a cross.
Yeah. Oh my God, I saw that.
I sent that to y'all.
Wow.
Sir,
Oh yeah.
no, we don't know what you're talking about. Liverpool, there will be no impropriety in any Liverpool game ever.
What?
Never at Anfield. Never.
Never.
And then came back on immediately.
Yeah, literally came back
Somebody-
on like
it's like
2
somebody
seconds
flipped the
later.
switch. Oh yeah, I had forgotten about that. That was definitely some shady stuff. So y'all are
Traore, I mean, he absolutely dusted the defender. And
Traore
just,
goes right by him.
I mean, the lights go out. Oh man.
One of the visiting fans threw coins at the lights, and then the lights went out. And because Liverpool never throws coins, only the opposing people throw coins, and he threw it, and it broke the lights in there. But it was lucky that there was a Liverpool superhero there to find the backup switch and turn the lights back on.
Yes, we are all blessed. So blessed.
So what shadiness are we going to see on Saturday morning? It's the 7:30 kickoff. Do you have any hope? Can
I
Chelsea
do. I mean, I
win
do,
Anfield?
but it's Anfield too. Chelsea's always not played well at Anfield. I mean, of course, there's always the don't let it slip, which was just a beautiful moment. Which was a beautiful moment. But Chelsea's had some real classics there where they've played really, really well and they didn't get a win.
So what's your prediction?
I don't know. I'm leaning 1-1. I'm leaning 1-1. My heart wants to say 2-1, but I'm leaning 1-1 right now.
Hold back the boys. I get it. It's Anfield. I said a draw as well. I said 2-2 as well.
Statistics say that they are going to draw since the last 4 games were draws. And historically, that it's 11, 13, and 10. Draw.
Wow. Yeah.
Draw.
Like I said, Chelsea's played really well there and not come out with a win.
So the Mud Bowl's going to be pretty muddy, huh? What do you think, Lewis?
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
I'm going with one. Actually, no, 1-1. I was gonna go 0-0, but I'll go 1-1.
Looks like
I mean, Kepa's in goal, so of course they're gonna get one.
Yes. I have the same mentality about Ederson. Ederson is great with his feet.
Dude, what is up with Ederson?
Recently, he has not been good.
He has been.
He's
he
bad.
maybe been hanging out with Lloris lately. I don't know.
But here's the funny thing: he was bad, but then that he passes the ball to Mahrez for Mahrez to score the 4th one.
That was a nice pass. That was.
So I mean, that's the trade-off. He'll get you one too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He balances it out. It balances out.
I always expect teams to score against City because always something stupid happens with Ederson. I just expect it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on Chelsea Liverpool? Anything else you want to say?
I mean, I think you do see a spirited Chelsea side. I think with Murdoch, I do think he gets. I think he might actually get a start. Chelsea's social media team has really been displaying him this week specifically. Like he's playing with the first team. He's doing this. He's playing with the first team guys, and I think he gets a start. I think he brings a spark, just like Felix did, and I would love to get him back. If we have Felix, I think this would be a win, honestly. Just because Joe Gomez is a liability in defense. You know that Trent Alexander Arnold is he's not going to play defense. So I mean, you can overrun that side. But
That might be where Mud Dog goes.
and and that's what I was about to say. I think that's where he's going to go. What's going to be interesting to see is, do they play Cucurella and overlap with him, or do they just let Murdoch just try to play almost like the Hazard role, where he just tries to take it from the left side? Because we really haven't had anybody do that. I mean, Pulisic can take some guys on, but he's more of a quick passing guy. For him to be effective, we don't really have anybody that can take some guys on and actually beat them. And supposedly, Murdoch can do that. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. Got some other interesting ones on Saturday as well. Forest go to Bournemouth. I think that's not necessarily one of the interesting ones, but Bournemouth have lost 5 straight, looking really strong. And Forest are a bit resurgent. They're out of the relegation zone as far as 2 points can get you out of relegation zone, but they're in 13th place somehow.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a crazy season, this one. I have predicted a 2-1 Forest win. Thoughts?
It's Forest on the road. I mean, it does seem like a 2-1 Forest win, but Bournemouth's on the slide, 5 in a row. They're at home now. Forest is always vulnerable on the road. It's tough.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go 1-1.
sure.
I'm going 1-0 based on AFC Bournemouth haven't lost to Nottingham Forest in their last 5 meetings. 4 wins and 1 draw. Stealing.
1-0 Bournemouth, huh?
Yeah, straight from stats. Because why not?
There you go. Yeah, I get it. It's tough to predict either one of those teams. I'm predicting that Forest will score on a corner kick because Bournemouth have given like 24 corner kicks in 22 in 2022.
Wow.
It was something horrifying.
That's insane.
They also have conceded the most penalties this season.
Oh, well, it's
That
not a
makes
good
it tougher.
story.
So I still pick them, though.
It's not
That's
a good
good.
story.
Oh, man.
1-0.
I'll stick with 1-1.
Yeah. Moving on to another just horrifying story. We say it every week. How does Brendan Rodgers have a job? They're facing it's Brighton. Trust our bliss Brighton. It is at Leicester. So I said it was
Doesn't
only going to
matter.
be 3-0.
Doesn't matter.
Give me 4-1.
Brighton.
Give me 4-1. Brighton, man. For a small club, they're their own version of a wagon at times.
Matoma is lighting it up. I think he's Japanese guy that's been playing left forward for them. Tearing it up, man. He's been really good. Sully Marsh got a couple of really good goals last time out. They're flying for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of why I have a little hope still in Potter, just because it's like he had a hand in that.
Yeah.
He had a hand in that, So they're and again, Bournemouth's fun to watch. They are fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're like a blitzkrieg sometimes. But yeah, maybe this is the week that Brendan Rodgers does lose his job. You never know.
I mean, Brighton have scored like 20 odd goals in the last 4 or 5 games, and we know Leicester can give some goals.
Mm-hmm.
What you think, Lewis?
Leicester's last 2 games, they lost 2-0. 2-0 for Brighton.
Yeah. Some consistency from Leicester.
Consistent.
That's why Brendan Rodgers still has a job, because they're consistent.
Ouch. Yeah. Ouch. We got another. Speaking of finding some consistency, we got another massive game for Southampton down at the bottom, playing Villa at home. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. This I had predicted a 1-1 draw.
Oh man,
It's a tough one.
it is.
I just think that Southampton have a goal at home. I think that Villa have they've shown that they can struggle away from home. They definitely play quick, but Southampton have surprised me the last few games. It's one of the only places that Arsenal have drawn this season. So I feel like I feel like they'll have some resiliency. That's why I figured it'd be a tight draw.
You always worry about Ward-Prowse getting an old free kick. Ask Jordan Pickford about that. That was great. I'm so glad somebody noticed that.
Yeah. So
It's like, damn, this is gonna be automatic. There's nothing I can do about it.
I didn't even know. Yeah.
He already knew. It's like, give me, oh gosh, give me Villa 2-1.
A good game. What you think, Lewis?
Based on form, I'm going 2-2 since Southampton has scored 2 goals in their last 3 games. And Villa's form has been lose, win, draw, lose, win, draw.
Yeah. So it's on draw for him this time.
2-2.
Nice.
I like it. I like it. I like this version of Lewis's prognostications. It's fantastic.
I blame the lack of focus on when I pick the other ones. I just pick the thing that I see and just go with it. I'm actually going to use stuff now.
You're using data.
Yes.
I think the manager that's been looked at the least and who's performing really poorly, because we got a number of those, David Moyes.
My boy Moyes. All right.
He's hosting Frankie Lampard.
Ooh, this is a spicy one.
Massive game.
I mean, looking at this, I'm looking at the table right now. So they're 19 games played, all on 15 points. Goal differential -10 to or -10 to -11. Whew, man,
relegation.
We got us a good one.
Yeah, I said 1-1.
They've scored the same amount of goals too. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're going to London for this one, or are they going to Goodison?
West Ham. Yeah.
In London, yeah.
I just think Declan Rice has been West Ham's best player, and it's not good.
Yeah, he has. He has.
Defensive midfielder is your best player.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. Calvert-Lewin
just signed somebody though. Didn't they just sign somebody today?
They did. Who did they sign?
Everton?
Who?
You said Everton?
West Ham just signed someone new.
Oh, West Ham. Hold on. Let me find it here.
No, they
Awesome.
they signed Danny Ings.
No,
Yes. Yes. Oh, I saw a great meme, and
is it done deal?
Dawson? Oh yeah, it is. But Craig Dawson.
It's great. There's a meme. I'll have to find it. It was David Moyes with the towel, and it said, "I said signings, not Dan Ings."
Yeah.
Oh
I feel like
man,
that's a great signing for them. They got Scamacca, they got Antonio already. Yeah, this one's not going to be a good. I don't think this is going to be a good game.
give me West Ham 2-1.
Yeah.
I almost lean 2-0, but they're very even. Declan Rice is going to be the best player in the game.
Where's the 1-1 at the Etihad from Everton? Where's the away performance from City? Because they've been trash since that game. They've been
they hit like a wonder goal to get that 1-1. It was Damari Gray hit an absolute beauty.
But they deserve that draw. I mean, City
Yeah.
kind of underestimated them a bit, I think, and Everton played well. And
Oh man, I feel for Frank. I mean, I don't feel for Frank because he's got plenty of money, and you
but you
would
want to see
think he'd
Lampard
figure
do
something out. At this
such a
point.
legend. You want to see him do good.
Oh, of course, I want him. Yeah, I want to see him do well. I'm just saying, you would think at some point he'd figure something out, and it just I
It's a
don't know.
horrible situation. It's not a good situation over there,
I
man.
mean, for them, it's almost like you need Calvert-Lewin to do something special for them to even get a goal, let alone get a win. So yeah, give me West Ham 2-1.
Yeah. I think Alex Iwobi was so good for a while for them in this season. In this latter half of the first half of the season, he's been anonymous. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
hasn't had the influence.
Yeah, I agree.
What you think?
Yeah, what you got, Lewis?
I was going to go 0-0 based on the fact that Everton's form is they lost 2-1, then they drew, then they lost 4-1, then they lost 3-1, then they lost 2-1. So 1-1 was going to be my initial thing, but then I saw that West Ham haven't scored in 2 home matches. So that makes me go with the 0-0. But it's a draw either way. Just how many goals? I'm going 0-0.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good one. That as far as the spectacle. Next
Not
up,
one for the neutral, that's for sure.
no. Everyone's favorite London team that we love to hate, well, except for Spurs, obviously. But Newcastle are visiting Palace, and we saw what Palace can do when you. No, Newcastle 2-0.
Don't even
Newcastle
try.
2-0 all day.
Oh yeah, 2-0. We'll
I
go
don't think
2-0.
Newcastle are gonna drop off like United did. I don't think they're gonna be as sloppy as United were. I definitely think that yeah, it's gonna be a nice easy 2-0 for Newcastle.
2-0, Almiron with at least one, maybe both.
I mean, they got weapons all over the place.
They do. They really do. They just sold or they're about to sell Chris Wood because Callum Wilson he finally is back, full strength going, and they're like, oh, we don't need this guy anymore. So they're about to sell him, I think, to Norwich.
He's their weakest link for me. I mean, I feel like Callum Wilson should be starting, Almiron should be starting, St. Maximin should be starting. They've got it. They've got the depth. They've got the squad. I don't think they need Chris Wood.
No, not at
Imagine
all.
being the third place team in the Premier League and then getting sold to Norwich.
That affects everybody's favorite U.S. striker.
Go Canaries.
Hey, I don't have a problem with Norwich, man. Yeah, good on little yellow birds, sure, but they're not Newcastle. They're not even in the league.
Yeah.
I got 3-0, but that's because Palace haven't won their last 4 home matches, and Newcastle has kept the most clean sheets with 11. So 3-0 Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to
can see
stop
that.
myself from doing 3-0 just out of mercy for Patrick Vieira.
Well, they're riding a little bit high, after getting a point against United. But the thing is that also makes Newcastle focus. Like, we're gonna have to actually play.
Absolutely.
I mean, the thing about Palace is Zalha could do something, but he probably won't because he just doesn't give any effort.
Oh, man, I can't even that's the most annoying thing ever. He's so casual. He's so casual. But when he wants to do something, he's so good.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Well, as you were talking about him earlier, the reason why he stands out is because he puts in effort.
Yeah.
Compared to Zaha,
Speaking of effort, man, Leeds are always going to bring it. First game on Sunday, but they got Brentford. Brentford away to Leeds. It's a tough one.
Is my man playing? If
Of course.
of course, I need to find what the bookie's saying. Like, what's the
Exactly.
over under here?
Yeah,
Hold up.
what is Ivan Tony's bookie saying on this one? That's the one I'm gonna go with.
Over under for Brentford. I'm
He's
gonna
placed
find
a
out.
massive bet
Seriously.
on himself to get a brace.
Well, I mean, it's funny. I don't know how to read these things because I have the 1x bet, but I don't know how to read these numbers at all.
What's it
Hold
say?
on, I'm looking at it now.
It says who do you think will win? And so 1x bet it says Leeds 2.38, draw 3.5, and
Yeah.
Brentford 2.9.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, man. I don't know.
They're giving Leeds the advantage just because of home field,
home-
but they think it's going to be a draw. They think it's going to be a draw. The bookie does.
I do too.
Yeah. What's your score? What you think?
Well, based on looking at the form, especially since Leeds has drawn 3 of their last 5 and then won the last one 5-2, I'm gonna go with a 2-2 because I think Brentford scores goals.
Don't be fooled by that 5 deuce. It was versus championship team in the FA Cup.
Sometimes you got to see the net bulge to put it in another game. They're gonna at least score 2 because they literally scored. They've scored 2 in every game, with the exception against Newcastle, who they drew. 2 goals, 2-2.
Yeah.
Over under's 2.5.
Didn't we?
The over under's 2.5.
I said 2-1 Brentford. Leeds they're just almost. They're just the almost club.
Leeds
Almost. And Brentford are good.
They are good.
I don't
It seems like there's some issues at Leeds now. Marsh kind of went after the media the other day.
Really? I didn't hear that. What did he say?
I think he did. Maybe it wasn't the media. Hold on, but it was something. It may have been yesterday actually. But he feels like there's some cracks in the foundation a little bit.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. He's been in a bad way. They've been in a bad way.
He says awful reports of disunity aren't true.
Well, any unity aren't good.
Yeah, his hit back on awful reports that some of his Leeds players are against him. Leeds are 2 points above the. Okay, yes, I accept the cookies. I'm sorry. Above the Premier League relegation zone. It seems like a little bit of that pressure is starting to ratchet up on him. And that's the kind of stuff that, depending on how your team is, they take it on. Whether it's a mutiny, which I don't think it's a mutiny. There's too much America in there to be a mutiny. But I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, give me 2-1 Brentford. My man Tony's getting 1 at least. And the over under is 2.5, so he's going for that second goal for sure.
Do we think it's another complacent performance from City? They got Wolverhampton at home.
Nope.
Ooh.
They're gonna win 2-0 because Arsenal's next.
That's true. FA Cup. But Arsenal are gonna just give you the FA Cup. We want to win the league.
If you're in someone's head that you beat them, that's all you need to win.
Fair enough. I said 2-0 to City as well.
Give me 3-0. It's the last performance before an international break. I think they want to go out on a high, so give me 3-0.
Fair enough. Let's skip over the Arsenal game because I want to make a number of points about it, and we'll look at Fulham and Spurs on Monday.
It's a derby.
Spurs are at Fulham.
Fulham.
Oh yeah. After today's game, I said Fulham 3-1. Gonna smash them.
Wow.
I'm only going 1, but Fulham.
I mean, Fulham couldn't even put up 3 on Chelsea, though.
My man Mitro, baby. It's at home.
That's true. Mitro didn't play against Chelsea.
No matter what, you can look at the tables, sure. Chelsea are still like the same as Tottenham. Tottenham are on that same level at right now for me.
Yeah.
So saying that Fulham couldn't put 3 on Chelsea, Spurs.
But again, we
Spurs
didn't
are
play
in the
neutral
gutter.
too, so that's different.
They're in the gutter, dude.
Kane gets 1. Let's go 2-1. Fulham.
Yeah.
Fulham.
Fulham, yeah, of course, Fulham. It's the
All-
cottage, man. It's cottage at night.
Oh yeah. All right. The one we're all looking forward to. Well, I know I am.
Hey, do you know do you know the referees for the Arsenal game?
God, doesn't matter.
Is it Michael Oliver?
It does matter. It absolutely does matter.
It's gonna be bad no matter what. They're gonna favor United no matter what.
Here comes Howard Webb.
That's what I'm saying. I need to before I make a pick, I need to know who the referee is.
Yeah. Well, let me throw a few things at you, and you found out who the referees are. First up, I want to say something about Leandro Trossard. At first, my knee-jerk reaction was we don't need another winger. But when I look at what it kind of means in the situation, and the fact that yes, I think we do need depth to win this title. But I also think that it shows that okay, we didn't get Mud Dog, and so there's not a lot of time. There's like 11 days left in the transfer window. Plus, we saved $80 million or something. We saved $70 million, so that's a good bit of business.
50.
But
You say 50.
fair enough. Arteta is, everybody's clamoring, oh, we need backup for Partey. We need backup for Thomas Partey. Sambi Lokonga is not good enough. And I agree with that. But Arteta and myself, I do believe as well, believes that Mo Elneny is good enough backup for Thomas Partey, which leads me to believe that we won't see a midfield signing in January for Arsenal. This is not going to happen. So I think that Trossard might be our only signing in January. And I think he does give depth. I think that he can play a little deeper sometimes. He may even be able to slot in to the Xhaka role every now and again. So if you look at our squad, we got 6 across the front. We got 6 in the middle. We have bodies. Now, is the quality the same? No. The drop off. No one's Martin Odegaard. There's no one coming off our bench that gets anywhere close to Martin Odegaard. So, as far as the depth goes, I think that Arteta believes we already have it. And so he's not too worried about missing out on Mud Dog, about missing out on Felix. And we got Trossard in the door, which is not a bad bit of business. My only concern is all these reports about how he's like got an attitude problem or he's just had a falling out with De Zerbi or whatever that is. But then again, on the flip side, Arteta doesn't play games like that. Bye bye Aubameyang. Do you get out of here with that crap? So he doesn't play the Mesut Ozil game. We don't do that anymore. That's not what Arsenal is anymore. So that kind of gives me confidence if that's the case or whatever. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully he can slot in and get 5 or 6 goals, and I think we'll be just fine as far as depth is concerned. But as far as this game goes, I have predicted Arsenal 3-1. I think that United will approach it very much the same as they did against City at home, where they'll sit back a little bit and they'll be on the break. And in the middle, they're going to look to, Fred's going to do the same job he did. I think he'll come in and he'll try to blanket Odegaard like he stuck to KDB. I think that it was the way with their lineup. I'm not sure who's going to slot in. I think the smartest thing would be to do Rashford, Veghorst, Antony, and then slot Fernandez back into the center mid with Eriksson, and it'll probably be McTominay, unless Eriksson plays deeper and McTominay plays kind of the box to box role. But regardless, if you noticed, Eriksson was stepping onto Rodri a whole lot. Anytime Rodri was getting on the ball, Eriksson was trying to kind of press him and kind of blanket him. So if Fernandez is trying to do that to Thomas Partey, it's over. We're gonna run that midfield ragged. It's. I just don't think United, even with Casemiro, I felt like we would just run them over in there. How are they gonna combat? Because in the first half, Pep didn't invert the fullback. How are they gonna? They're not gonna be able to handle Zinchenko, Xhaka, Partey, Odegaard in the middle. Because when Zinchenko pinches in when we have the ball, like they don't give the ball away. We, none of the four of them give the ball away, and that was our problem the first game. Our only loss this season. We didn't have Partey for one. Lukonga was a bit naive and he was a bit farther up the pitch. I just think this is going to be another, a lot of hype, Oh man, you are in a good way on a good run. They're playing better. They're in the title race. Blah blah. It's going to be another one where we sweep them aside. I have all confidence that it's gonna be a lot of hype, and then United are just gonna get tossed aside because if we bring what we've been bringing all season, they have no hope. They have no chance. They're gonna need to bring the Old Trafford refs down the road to London for this game because I just maybe Rashford gets one on the counter, so I gave him a 3-1, but it doesn't matter. Saka will score. Martinelli will score. Nketiah will pop up. Odegaard. It doesn't matter. We're gonna score goals. And so maybe Trossard comes in the 88th and gets the fourth. And I got my prediction wrong, but I'm still gonna be, totally happy. I just think we're gonna be way too much. Way too much.
I agree. And by the way, the answer to the ref question is Anthony Taylor.
Maybe two. Maybe it'll be 2-1.
So
it's gonna get a phantom offside call.
So anyways, so now that that's been taken care of, at least it's not Howard Webb. That said, I'm torn because I want to go like a 4-1, 4-2 kind of thing. But you make a really good point. Like Arsenal doesn't give the ball away. So if you don't get the ball, it forces you to press when you do get the ball, and you're unless you just have like a 1v1 or something, you get frustrated, because you're like, we're not gonna get the ball back for another 10 minutes, So I'm gonna go 2-0, but it could be more. I just think that Arsenal will do the job, be comfortable, and you'll just see the machine continue to roll. So I'm gonna go 2-0 Arsenal.
Well, it's funny. Mine is 2-1 Arsenal, even though my heart wants it to be. And it's funny. I don't actually want Arsenal to lose. My heart would prefer a draw. I'd actually prefer a draw as opposed to them losing because I don't want United to win anything. So because that's the case, it's funny because the articles that I saw for the Anthony Taylor thing it's already set up that Anthony Taylor is going to be biased for Arsenal and United won't win because he is the official. Imagine the official
excuses already.
United to not help United. Confusing, but
they're making excuses already.
Of course, they're making excuses. I rate Arsenal's team I don't think United is a very good team, to be honest. They have a good run of form right now, but I don't think they're better than Arsenal. If they come out the same way that they did against City, they're going to get smacked because Arsenal is in better form. So if they do come out that way, they're going to win 4-0. But I think it's 2-1.
Yeah, that's why I was leaning towards the 4-0 because I'm like, there's a chance that Arsenal just smacks this United team, especially with them being the first loss of the season for them. But I also think that Arteta, he's not going to call the dogs off by any means, but I think it's going to be all right. We got our 2. Let's just kill the ball. Let's just kill the ball and just frustrate United, and that's what they'll do.
I think it's wonderful to hear you say that because back in the day, in our glory years, it was 1-0 to the Arsenal. We'd score and then you wouldn't see the ball for 80 minutes. And we're kind of getting back to that. And that's what the best teams do. I was thinking about it, about just some kind of basic reasons to why Arsenal are so good this season. And if you look at the last 5, 6, 7 years in this league, the same traits of all the champions are true. And there was definitely some city teams, I think, before the Liverpool title that really embodied this, but that Liverpool team also embodied these really well. Number one, they press, just an absolute suffocating press and it's so hard to deal with no matter who you are. Number two, they take chances, finishing chances, just because they press so much, they press so high, they get so many chances, but they take so many chances. Freaking Holland has 22 goals this season. You know what I mean? And then 3, they keep the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't give the ball away, and so, yeah, United had 29% possession versus City, but, that might be even lower versus Arsenal because that's what we did versus Tottenham in the second half. We're up 2-0, like you said, Patrick. We'll just cruise. We kept the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Tottenham were a little bit, they were a little bit better. They pressed a little bit higher, and Arsenal didn't do as good.
They
No,
whipped some crosses into nobody.
we just kept the ball. We just had the ball the whole game, and if United drop off too much, it'll be the same story.
Mm.
And I'll be the first.
I think again, it comes down to not only form but consistency, and we've seen so much consistency with this Arsenal team. You know what you're going to get. You just know what you're going to get. Right now, we don't know what we're going to get from United, but I can tell you, I know what we are for sure going to get from United: a team that's going to get overran in the midfield, and a team that is going to easily get frustrated when they go down a goal because they know we got to chase it now, and chasing it against Palace or somebody like that. Okay, we can still play our game. Chasing it against Arsenal, you got to play a whole different game.
Gonna get punished for sure. I mean, and as far as I think they have to play Wan-Bissaka as far as defense. He's proved himself, but Luke Shaw has been halfway decent. I'm just trying to think of anyone who's gonna keep up with Saka and Martinelli. It's just,
Sir,
I hope Maguire plays.
The greatest head ever, Harry Maguire. I'm gonna need you to get that together, sir.
I
Harry
hope he plays. I hope
gonna
he's
shut
in.
the whole thing down.
Old
Give him the
slabhead.
heart. I hope he's in, man. Yes. I'm a Harry Maguire fan. Let's go.
So you want the
Get
4-0?
some. Oh, get chewed up and spit out. I would love Harry Maguire to play. Oh my goodness, man. It's there's maybe in a world where Bruno gets under Xhaka's skin and he punches him in the face and we catch a red card,
There's always a chance of that.
something like that.
You
He
never
might,
know what you're gonna get with Zaka. He might.
fail us, But he's been so. I mean, he's been so. Even at the end of the Spurs game, if Xhaka didn't murder somebody in the Spurs game, you know that he's going to be fine for United. Like Arteta even ran after him after the game to make sure he didn't, crack skulls there at the end of the game. I think we'll be all right as far as discipline goes. But yeah,
Is he true Swiss or is he part Serbian? Because he's got himself a mean streak. Usually Swiss are very, we're neutral for a reason kind of thing.
yeah, he's a
Got some
baller.
Eastern European in him for sure.
Bruiser for sure. Yeah, and it's just a wonderful time to be an Arsenal fan. I love hearing you guys talk about our consistency, talk about how good we are this season. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to having other teams' fans praising our performances and our teams.
Just
So
don't let it slip. That's
I'm
all I
rebel.
gotta say.
You call a
Don't
spade.
let it slip.
Yeah, I don't get clouded because I love the game more than I love my fandom. You got to call it like you see it.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was thinking about today, like during that game when I was like, "Oh, Spurs have a lead, all right," but I hate cheering for Spurs so much, you know, and that's why like it hasn't really bothered me. The only reason I don't like City is because y'all win so much. That's literally the only reason. I really enjoy watching y'all play when you're at your best, because it's really fun to watch. It's really good stuff. The only reason I don't like you is because you win so much. They hate us because they ain't us. And I get that, and I'm just hoping to take a turn in that seat. I want to be the villain. I want to be the champions. I want to be the team that everybody's like, damn man, we got to play Arsenal this weekend.
That's how people feel this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm reveling in it.
And I will say this. I think the one thing about soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, is the true fan, and I'm not talking about like a fan of a club, but a true fan of the game wants to just see quality. And it could be, a championship side, it could be La Liga, it could be Serie A, whatever it might be. You want to tune in and see that quality. And that's what you see with this Arsenal team. You see that quality. And I mean, Chelsea fans don't hate Arsenal like they hate Spurs by any means. But I mean, there's still like a little bit of a rivalry of sorts. Just because, London's red, London's blue. It's blue, by the way.
Is it?
But it is blue. But anyways, it's more fun to sit down and just watch a team that plays at a high level and plays so well. And that's the thing about this Arsenal team. They just play at a high level at all times. You don't expect them to come out and shut off. They're even when they get a goal scored on them, it takes some work. It's not like a gaff of sorts. It takes work. And when that goal is scored, it's like, okay, yeah, we got beat by, either a great individual play or, a great team goal or whatever it might be. That's what's frustrating right now for me as a Chelsea fan, because some of the goals we give up, I'm like, what the seriously? I mean, I'm still just like sitting here and thinking about the William goal. I'm like, that goal should never happen. The goal should never happen against Chelsea. And I mean, and that's just kind of my point. Like, I will watch Chelsea because I love Chelsea. Chelsea, huge Chelsea fan. But I don't sometimes enjoy it, because it's like, okay, where are we going to screw up in the midfield? Where are we going to, scuff a shot? Where are we going to, when is Kepa not going to attack a ball in the air? You don't get that with Arsenal. I mean, I enjoyed watching Ramsdale the other night. He looked great. He plays the goal. I mean, he plays the position well. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm not saying this Arsenal team's the next Barcelona or Real Madrid, but they've got quality, they've got youth, they've got a system, and it's fun to watch. It just is.
Yeah, like I say, I'm enjoying life at the moment. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. I'm pretty excited about the games coming up. Make sure you hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Get the notification bell on. We got plenty more coming for you. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty excited about these games. Should be a great one on Sunday. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.